What a morning, or what a two semi-finals of racing they were. Say morning? It's not morning, it's 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's late afternoon.
This is what the start list is going to be in the final. Bianca Sereni, Megan Foley and Elena Danilova as your eliminated athletes who were eliminated last will join the women's final, led by Katie Zafiris and Cassandra Beaugrant. You can see there it was nearly a minute in the end between Zafiris and Beaugrant's finishings. Clamour, Colwell, Spivey and Zane all finished ahead of Cassandra Beaugrant, who won semi-final A from Takahashi. Beatrice Malozzi is the lead junior in 37.16. Leonie Perriot, Summer Rappaport, Felicity Sheedy-Ryan, Angelica Olmo makes it in as well. Sereni, Foley and Danilova. That is your women's start list for the final tomorrow, and that takes place at 2:30 p.m. local time. But now we turn our attention to the men, and how about this for semi-final A? The world champion Vincent Lewis, Hayden Wild, who was so strong in Jersey, a semi-final winner, Leo Berger, Aaron Royal, Gustav Eden, the 70.3 world champion, Con Doherty of Ireland, Igor Polyansky, Tyler Mislichuk, who won the Tokyo Test event just a few weeks ago, Dimitri Polyansky, Matthew Hauser, who is the fastest we hear across the mixed team relay distances, which are very similar to our distances in the world ever. And look out for number 12, Sean Gallia, who is the Maltese national champion. Got a look in this year, and he is going to make the most of it. He's 9 from 9 with his race wins. But down at the bottom there, Simon Henseleit. Last in Jersey, he was the junior who won through to the semi-final. He just made it in from the semi-final to the final. Didn't race in the end. He has a really, really interesting story. And right now we're going to hear a little bit more about the story of German Simon Henseleit.
I'm super excited to be here. After being in Jersey for the first time in Super League, getting to know all athletes, being in the mix with such big athletes, like the most popular, successful athletes in the world. It's unbelievable. I came to Jersey with the goal to achieve this. So I didn't know exactly if we're gonna race the same day, the pros, or like the next event in Malta. But in the briefing on Friday, Joe told us, if you win tomorrow or come in second, you race the pros in the afternoon. So I was like, okay, I had to come in first or second.
You looked around and you saw all of these professional athletes that have been doing this. I mean, what were you thinking?
And my expectations weren't that high, so I thought, okay, try not to get eliminated.
That's what everyone's goal is, that.
Yeah, I took my chance, went out hard from the beginning. Then I ended up sprinting for the final place and I didn't even knew it. And like the head referee came to me after I finished the race and said like, you're in. And I was like, oh, in where? And you made it to the final. I had to think about it. And then my coach came next to me and he made a cut and said, no, that's gonna be too much. 2 years before, the doctors don't really know where or what it's coming from. And so my bones are a bit too weak for the amount I was running that time. The first triathlon of the year, 2017. On the last 100 meters, where I sprinted for like 7th place, my left tibia completely broke, so it was a really heavy stress fracture. I have to take like four months without running, and then slowly started that triathlon thing again in 2018.
When did you find out that we were going to give you a second shot here in Malta?
A week later, when Michael Dals wrote me on Instagram, and directly after that, Joe called me, and he said like, I have great news, you're in for Malta.
How good is that? In for Malta. Missed out on the chance to make the championship final in Jersey. Well, he did make it. He decided not to take it, but now he's back for Malta. And I can tell you that Simon Henseleit has all the skills required to make it through to Sunday. But if he is indeed going to do that, he is going to have to conquer 14 of the world's best and this incredible course. Out of the pontoon, 120 to the first turn buoy, quite a long distance to the second turn buoy, and then a nice short trip back into home. The bike and the run are on the same course. Head out to the roundabout on the far left of your screen and up Mount Malta. That's the Trick St. Lorenz. And then a turn further up to the highest point of the course at the top near Trick Jandru. Then down a sweeping left-hand turn. Very, very fast descent, 60, 70 kilometres an hour. A very tight right-hand turn and then left and right into transition. That's the course, but also they've got to take on the semi-final format, and this is a little at what it's all about.
Semi-finals. From a mass start, athletes face a 300-metre swim, 4-kilometre bike and a 1.6-kilometre run twice. 2 consecutive triathlons at full speed, no breaks and no room for conservation. The semi-final format is a true examination of pace and precision, with spots in Sunday's final awarded to those who can withstand the pressure.
6 legs, 5 transitions, 15 of the world's best, and only 5 automatic qualifying spots. You'll see the colour jerseys out there across the course of the semi-finals. Vincent Lewis is your championship leader. He wears the pink. The fastest swimmer from Jersey was Aidan Longcroft-Harris. He's in the second semi. Aaron Royal, the fastest runner, and Hayden Wild was the fastest on the bike. The fastest through transition was Christian Blumenfeld in Jersey, and those jerseys can, of course, change. It's an accumulated points system with points on the line for those who are quickest through the disciplines, at least the first of each discipline in both the semi and the final. There is Nicolo Strada, who won the junior racing at Italy's junior ranks are just about incredible. Both the Italian women who were good in the semi-final have made it through to the final, the juniors, and Nicolo Strada will be looking to emulate that. He's alongside Simon Henselite, who we just heard of. He's the other one in the wide, but this, Macca, is an absolutely stacked semi-final.
What a semi-final. This is beyond stacked. Vincent Louis, the current world champion, and our pink jersey. He's never not worn a pink jersey on the far right of this. Look for him to be out fast. Mislachuk will be quick. Hauser will be quick. Unbelievable.
Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, Gustav Eden, Igor Polyansky. There's so much talent, and 10 of these guys will either have to wait or they're going to go home. 5 will go through, and we're off in semi-final A here in Malta. And it is an absolute washing machine as they head out to the first turn, boy. You can see on Vincent the far right of the, well, now on the far left of your screen is Vincent Lewis, who decided he wanted to take the open water on the left-hand side and try and swim across them, and that's exactly what he's doing. There is Lewis, the championship leader.
Matt Hauser, who's usually out very, very quick, been caught up in this washing machine in the centre of this as they merge towards his first swim buoy with so many more athletes. It's interesting not to see Matt Hauser in the white jersey, which we saw him in last year.
Is that Henselite
that has gone
Henselite on the inside?
Has led it. He definitely has. 100% Henselite.
It's beside him as well
as
either Nicolo Strada.
Because 2 white jerseys on the inside had a fantastic start.
Strada there, just behind on Vince Lewis's feet, and there's a group of 5 who've already kind of gapped the chasing pack, which includes Tyler Mislachuk and Leo Berger. So, the pace is absolutely on here, and Vincent Lewis is where he normally is, which is at the front of this race. There's Lewis alongside.
No, it's the Italian Strada.
It is Strada.
Nicolo Strada, the junior who came out of the junior ranks earlier this morning to put himself in this final.
He's already raced
with
today.
The world champion.
Not only that, he's hanging on his hip too, which Vincent Lewis will not like.
Be interesting to see what's said as they get out of the water. Listen here, kid. Give me some room.
He's like, no, I'll do what I want. Thank you very much. Already won a race today. Have you already run a race today, Vincent? No, you haven't. So the 2 of them are out the front.
There's Mislachuk
on the inside.
Polyansky on his inside.
And Henselite.
Henselite on the right. So the junior's doing very well.
Absolutely well.
It says a lot because the juniors come through this tight, aggressive, short course racing. As you start to move up in age, you start to move towards that Olympic distance racing, which requires quite a different skill set, which is what makes Vincent Louis so remarkable, is how he's able to come back to this very, very short dynamic racing and be so dynamic, and then go up and win a world title at these longer Olympic distance racing. He's a special talent indeed. Tyler Mislachuk is always magnificent in the water. He tends to position himself very well. Very disappointed missing out in the semi-final in Jersey. Really struggled in those cold conditions. They're not cold here, so I expect to see him push up.
Nicolo Strada, 4th in the Italian Junior National Championships. Multiple Junior European Cup top 10s. Alongside him, the world champion,
And Aaron Royal a lot further back than I would anticipate Aaron Royal being. He's
Hayden
usually
Wild
a
as
big
well.
swimmer. Hayden Wild. Aaron Royal, a much better swimmer in the water than Hayden Wild, so he's got caught up in that congestion.
Bergier is at the back there too. That is Wild, Bergier and Royal in a line there, green, yellow, red. And behind them, number 33 is Gustav Eden, who we really back to have a big weekend this weekend. He's at the back of this swim pack.
He'll love this bike course, Gustav Eden. He'll love it. Vincent Louis
Nicolo
out first.
Strada and Vincent Lewis.
Strada's gone straight round him. I love him already.
Polyansky, Mislachuk, Henselite, Vasco Viasa.
Ollie Turner.
Ollie Turner's there as well. There's Royal. But first out of transition is going to be Nicolo Strada.
Wow. He is a committed. Look at him.
Look at him. He's loving it.
He knows it.
Absolutely loving it. The crowd are loving it too, and he's make time with the champion right behind him to wave to the crowd. Mislachuk, Velasa, Turner's had a good start. Polyansky, Henselite.
Matty Hauser a lot further back than I thought.
Hauser's behind
Leo
Wild.
Bergier.
There's
Gustav
Eden
Eden.
and Con Doherty. So there's 14, and there is Sean Galia, who's the local Maltese talent. He's out and onto the bike as well. He's finding the going very, very tough already.
He's going to have a tough day now with no one around him and so much power up front.
What a great story, though, is for Sean Galia. He's a lovely young man. Spent some time with him this week doing the local media rounds.
Nicolo Strada.
Look at him go. He's not even puffed. He's got the smile on his face.
He is having a ball. He is enjoying this immensely, as you would. You have you're probably your idol sitting off your wheel in the pink jersey, Vincent Louis, the current world champion, and you've led him up the first climb past all your friends and family.
So, Strada, Lewis, Mislachuk, sporting a very questionable new moustache. Velasa, Turner, Polyansky, Henselite, Wild, Dimitri Polyansky, Aaron Royal, who's overtaken Matty Hauser, Leo Berger, Gustav Eden, and Con Doherty. So in 13th position sits the 70.3 world champion, Leo Berger, top 5 athlete from last year, and out the front of all of them,
Hayden Wild's very good on that inside run there. He took a real tight line. He overgeared that, and he lost all the advantage he made. But he took that chance coming up, cutting off on the inside, pushing a couple of the athletes wide on that right hand. But I think he'll get it right this next turn and move up a little bit more. But that's a showing of bike skills and a lack of fear on that descent, which we know the Falcon loves this course.
Hayden Wild, they call him the Maltese Falcon, picked that up as a nickname last year. He's from New Zealand. I don't know why. We don't need to know. But having had that big accident yesterday, we spoke to him an hour ago. He's had 7 stitches last night in hospital, but he's back out there. So he's gone from Falcon to the Phoenix, rising from the ashes.
Yes.
As Gustav Eden looks like he's been dropped a little off the back here. He's in 14th position. Doherty's managed to bridge over with Bergier and Hauser.
You get used to this, don't you? Vincent Lewis is just always on the front of these races. He just finds a way to move up, put himself in position, control the racing, and everyone seems to sit off and...
Big accident there. It's Henselite. Hayden Wild's been caught up in it as well, and he's trying to get through, but it's Strada that began it.
And Turner,
so he's gone
Olivia
too
Turner
hard. He's gone too hard, and Henselite is out. And he's got a problem with the bike, and I think that was Nicolo Strada that began that. Unconfirmed, we'll have to look at it again, but they're all back on the bike.
That's unfortunate for Henselite. He was right in the mix there. Ollie Turner is not
that
quite
hurts
strong
for
on the
Turner.
bike. But you'd love to have someone else there with you that got caught up in that. If Hayden Wild had hung around a little bit more, you know that you'd have a group of people that would chase and just hope that he will see it here.
Let's have a look. Keep your eyes on Strada in the white, on the inside. Lewis gets around, Velasa gets around, Mislachuk gets around, Strada on the inside, and Henselite comes across,
clips the wheel
of Velasa and hits Strada. So apologies to the Italians. It was Henselite who ran out of room on Velasa, and there is Hayden Wild just trying to find his way through. On the inside goes Eden, Hauser, Doherty, and Bergier. So they'll have to work hard now.
What tends to happen if you're around that, you tend to get a little bit uneasy on this next lap. You start to look around and think, oh, I was lucky to get away with that. And it's if you're on the front, which Vincent Louis is now, you can start to push the pace, capitalising on that anxiety that exists in the bunch right now. And Hayden Wild's probably the biggest casualty. He's been caught out a little bit further back and has got some work to do to close those gaps. Gustav Eden, the 70.3 Ironman world champion, has now moved up and was able to capitalise on that congestion.
We're really going to start seeing the class of Hayden Wild here if he can get back in touch with that pack. There he is, he's on.
He's on.
So how many matches has he burnt, Hayden Wild, after yesterday's accident to get back onto the pack? But how strong is he? Two-time under junior Xterra world champion.
There's a Matt Hauser. He's going around the top there.
Hauser was ill in Jersey.
Yeah, he's a little bit further back, Matt Hauser. Than I thought. His swim usually sets him up. He's able to capitalise on that. He's not loving that climb. He's a bit bigger as an athlete. He tends to be losing a little bit of that.
Strata came in hot there.
He did. But Hauser needs to move up. It's him isolated back here in those two and close in on that front group. But with Vincent Lewis on the front, you know that the pace is going to be on.
Well, Hauser, he weighs 78 kilograms, which, to put that into context, a Henry Schoeman will tip the scales in peak race form at about 56 kilos. So that's a 40% difference or something like that. 30%, it's a big one. There's Wild sitting in the green in about 7th position. And there is Henselite and Turner, who are trying to work together to close that gap as much as possible. So very unfortunate for the pair of them. But at the front, Vincent Lewis, as he does, leads up the hill once again from Tyler Mislichuk, who was eliminated in his semi-final last time. And Vasco Velasa, who was unheralded to an extent coming into Jersey, had a great semi-final, just missed out by 1 second on making it into the final, and he'll be keen to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I was able to speak to him after that semi-final in Jersey. We were out at dinner and he happened to be there. I said, what do you think of the Super League racing? How'd you find the conditions? He said, for some reason I could not get going. Trust me, Macca, I'm a lot better than that. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's showing that today. I think he prefers this open course. He's a lot closer to the front. And all of them, Tyler Mislichuk in particular, basically said to themselves, let's just shadow Vincent Lewis. He's always going to be close to the front. He's always going to be in the action. The closer we stay to that man, the closer we are to winning this event. And Tyler Mislichuk has not got off his wheel all day.
All right, 7 athletes, and Hayden Wild hasn't had time even to put his feet in his shoes yet. And off they come off the bike. So, Velasa right behind Vincent Lewis. Velasa smart enough to put his bike in backwards, but Lewis hasn't done that. Maybe a second or two.
Hayden Wild in now, behind Lewis. Big transition.
Wild in.
And needs to go. Good transition.
Wild goes.
Aaron
There's
Royal,
Condotti.
sloppy.
And here comes Matt Hauser, who is a little bit further back than he would have liked. Still behind Nicolo Strada. There's Aaron Royal ahead of Doherty. And in comes Turner, who's forced to go around the outside of Polyansky, and Henselit's missed his spot.
Another mistake.
So he's having a tough day at the office, Simon Henselite. And he is down in 12th position. Dimitri Polyansky in 13th. He had knee surgery only in August. And he's still on the way back. And he's the only one. He's the one that Henselite's chasing as they head off onto the run. Aaron Royal all by himself in 7th position ahead of Doherty and Strada. But at the front, it's the world champ.
Vasco Velasa just shadowing him all day. He's got a committed race. This committed race for him in this, much different to what we're seeing him do in Jersey. Velasa and Tyler Mislichuk just off the back of him. I'm wondering if they're going to let this gap open. I was expecting Gustav Eden to really shadow Vincent Lewis as well, because he doesn't have a big swim. This second swim's important. He doesn't want to put himself in a position where he can be run out of that top 5, and with this much talent in this first semi-final, that is a big possibility if you're doing a run shootout for this last run.
Further bad news for Dimitri Polyansky and Simon Henselite, who both rode over the dismount line just then and will pick up a 5-second penalty to be served at the end of the race. And there is Sean Gallia, who comes through transition in 15th position, and he will be the first to be eliminated. The local Maltese athlete, he's won 9 from 9 races in 2019, but he's found the pace a little bit too hot here in semi-final A. And out the front, it is Vincent Lewis and Vasco Velasa from
Amazing.
Portugal.
Hayden Wild in third in the green jersey.
Can't say enough about the early effort of Vasco Valasa, who was very good, even if he didn't think he was.
Yeah.
Early doors in, he missed out on the final by 1 second in Jersey, and that's no mean feat. And also no mean feat, moving up into third position after getting caught up in that accident. Hayden Wild ahead of Tyler Mislachuk.
Look at the power in this top 7. Like the athletes in this top 7 are some of the best athletes on the planet. And you're seeing Aaron Royal, the Olympian from Australia, one of the biggest swimmers in our red jersey, sitting in 7th with Leo Bergier, who's probably one of France's most talented future up-and-comers. He potentially could win a gold medal with Vincent Lewis in the Tokyo Olympics, sitting in 6th. And then behind them is some of the Gustav Edens, the Matt Hausers. It's amazing. And the danger that they're putting themselves in right now, and Vincent Lewis knows that. He's putting the boot in, opening that gap, giving him a margin of error to control this race.
There was Eden and Bergier, who sit on the bubble in 5th and 6th. Of course, 5 athletes automatically qualifying for the final. And there is, as you say, probably a future gold medalist and already a world champion, current world champion. And then ahead of a former under-23 world champion there in Royal. Now 29 years of age and has plenty left in the tank in his career. And they're all in peak physical condition. This shows you the quality of the athletes throughout the Super League field, that each of them hold world titles or former world titles or Olympic medals or
I'm surprised
any number of things.
I'm surprised to see Tyler Mislachuk not move up with Hayden Wild. Tyler knows that he's a very, very cluey racer. Jonathan Hall, his coach, is one of the smartest tactical coaches in the world. They walk through these possibilities that can happen in a race every single time they come to an event like this. And Tyler would know that the group up front of Vincent Lewis, of Valasa and Hayden Wild are going to move away. They're going to be able to use this swim to establish a break and give them that ability to secure those 5 slots. By dropping off that group, he's now isolated. He leaves himself open to Gustav Eden and others to close it and could put himself out of that top 5.
So Simon Henselart has just been informed, as has Dmitry Polyansky, of the 5 seconds added to their time. Whilst out the front, Hayden Wild has moved into 2nd position.
He looks great, Hayden
ahead
Wild.
of Valasa. Yep, he's had quite the 24 hours. Had one accident, been caught up in a 2nd accident, and he's sitting right behind the world champion with Valasa as well alongside.
Tyler needs to close that gap. Use this downhill. That's the gap he needs to close because he leaves himself open to Gustav Eden here and Leo Bergier. He's a better swimmer than both those gentlemen, but it's just a danger position to be in when there's so much power up front, especially with Vincent Lewis, who has now put the boot in on this downhill and opened up a gap on Valasa, who now finds himself isolated. And Hayden Wild knows how important it is to stay as close to that man in pink as possible.
When you look at someone like Valasa, who is racing against what is now the world champion, Hayden Wild,
future
race
world
winner, future world champion. Behind them, Tokyo Test event winner Tyler Mislachuk. But you look at Valasa, who feels like the odd man out. He's only 20 years of age.
Yeah.
He already has 33 ITU starts. He's already the former European junior champion. He's the former Portuguese junior champion. He was 5th in the under-23 European Championships. And he was 4th in the under-23 grand final, the world champs in Lausanne. So he's got plenty of experience for a 20-year-old. So the resumes are long here at Super League Triathlon. Pretty much everyone's except for mine. Even my co-commentator has 4 world titles. He's been grazing in a good paddock since then, though. No doubt. Lewis.
Hayden
Wild. And then a little bit of air back to Valasa, Mislachuk, and Gustav Eden, who was 11th about 10 minutes ago and has moved himself up into 5th with Bergier. But Mislachuk has Valasa to swim with now.
And Mislachuk's a fantastic swimmer. He'll like the open water. He'll like to have that free space to move with two athletes in front of him to mark and to target. If Valasa can stay on his feet and just give him that ability to close that gap, I think he potentially could close in on Hayden Wild, depending on how much Vincent Lewis wants to push it. Hayden dived straight onto the hip of Vincent Lewis, which he wouldn't have liked. It would have been much better for him to dive onto those feet and keep that pace up front. Matt Hauser, not having a great day, not enjoying that climb. He didn't like that opening swim. Actually, Vincent Lewis has dropped Hayden Wild from those opening pictures, it looks like, in the swim.
There is Hauser, who makes his lonely way into the water for the second time. 17 minutes gone. Con Doherty is giving a good acquittal of himself as well. In 9th position ahead of Igor Polyansky. Dmitry Polyansky's moved up into 11th. He has to push the pace. He knows he's got a 5-second penalty to serve ahead of Strada, who did the victory lap about 15 laps too early out the front in the first 2 or 3 kilometres, and there he is now in 12th position ahead of Turner and Henselite, who also has a 5-second penalty.
But we know Strada can swim, so if he's going to take in some any time, it's going to be now in this swim. The second swim, as a big swimmer, it's usually these second swims where you can use your strength to open up. Ollie Turner eliminated.
He'll be very upset with how this has
Strada
played
was
out.
as well.
Turner and Henselite. So
all 3 of them. So Strada's not going to get in the water. I saw him eliminated there next to Ollie Turner.
Right. So Turner just remonstrating slightly with Henselite. He'll know that he got caught up in a situation that was possibly of Henselite's making. So a learning curve for all of these athletes.
Hayden Wild not able to hold the feet of Vincent Lewis. And he's been picked up by Tyler Mislachok.
And from Vasco Valasa. So beautiful shot there as we see a lovely swim from Vincent Lewis.
How are you going to take out this gentleman on screen? He's just always in control. He's no weakness across the board. They shadow him in the racing. They allow him to dictate terms, and you can't out-kick him. You can't out-swim him. It doesn't seem you can outdo anything. You can't do anything to him, and he's just opened up a gap again like he did in Jersey over the world's best athletes.
Well, the big question is, will the bike time trial tomorrow, the bike being, he's so strong across all disciplines, you wouldn't say the bike is his strength, but you also wouldn't say it's his weakness.
Well, I don't think it's had to be a strength for him. He's just such a tactically astute racer. He does what he has to do on the bike, and we're always looking at the fastest bike splits, and sometimes they are actually representative of the slowest swimmer that happened to move up in a course like this, where he's always the quickest swimmer. The next semi-final has all the swim talent in it, so he looks a lot better in this semi-final in the water than what you're going to see in the second semi-final. But far out, what a statement. He has been on the front of this race since the first stroke and hasn't let up.
Comes out of the swim under 20 minutes for 4 legs of this race. Tucks it all into the top of his jersey. And with the number 1 on his back and the pink, Vincent Lewis jumps on the S-Works Venge once again.
Great swim by Tyler Mislachok.
Mislachuk comes out in second position ahead of Valasa and Wild. So there's your chasing pack. We'll be looking for the short shoot for tomorrow. But is there a short shoot that Vincent Lewis has not picked up in Super League racing over the last 12 months? I don't think there is.
No, there's
I think he's had the advantage every time.
Aaron Royal with a great swim was able to take Gustav Eden with him, and he's brought Leo Bergier up. So these 3 need to work very, very hard together. Tyler Mislachok would be aware of that. There's some danger here being so close to those 3 in front. 3 makes 6, which is 7. It doesn't go into 5. And you do not want to leave yourself open to relying on times with the amount of talent in both these semi-finals.
Aaron Royal will know that. He's sitting on the bubble at Matt Hauser out of the water, having a look across and not seeing anyone ahead of him. Knows he needs to put in a big bike leg if he is going to get one of the lucky loser spots. Of course, the top 5 go through from each semi-final, but also the next 5 fastest times as he takes his all-black specialised out on the black carpet, and he's already nearly a minute 10 back.
Because this man will not let up. Suddenly you're putting a
We're about
lot
to
of
see
players
mass
in
eliminations
90-second eliminations in a semi-final.
Eagle won't make it.
It's going to be tight.
Doherty won't make it.
He knows it too. He's just sat up.
Stopped.
He's seen the clock. It's over.
Igor's putting it on, but he knows he's got nowhere to go. But Polyansky's smart enough to know that he needs to get to that mountain line and get eliminated for the clock to stop. Because Doherty's just stopped.
That was a rookie mistake by Doherty, because Polyansky now has been eliminated.
Well, he still hasn't been eliminated.
Well, he's been eliminated before Doherty, so if it comes back on a count back, I highly doubt that it will. Polyansky will get that spot over Doherty.
So Doherty's day is finished. Igor Polyansky's day finished, but it continues and gets better for Vincent Lewis. Dmitry Polyansky, the brother, he is also out. He is, by his own admission, not at full fitness. And he'll also pay an extra 5 seconds. Valasa, Mislachuk and Wild stuck together and working together. But they can't even take a second on Vincent Lewis. Eden, Bergier and Royal are now bunched together in a second group of 3, and that is your top 7 with Hauser all alone in 8th.
Look at that. There's 3 against 3 there, and that's the importance of that little race there. Forget Vincent Lewis. He's going to get the short sheet. He's going to win this semi-final. But 3 against 3, the 6 behind are racing for 4 positions. I say that because the top 5 are into the final. And all of those, it'll be a match race between them because I cannot pick a difference in the run leg. It'd be, I'd say Tyler Mislachuk is probably the better runner. Gustav Eden may find himself, I think Hayden Wild would get through. But Velasa showed in that first run that he's committed to a final slot, and he'll turn himself inside out to get it.
Wild now, we know how good he is up the hills. Mislachuk enjoys the hills as well, and Velasa looks like he just enjoys the fight, and he's certainly doing what he said and giving us a better showing than what he had in Jersey, which was still impressive. But there is absolute daylight between the field and Vincent Lewis, who is enjoying a ride out the front and just putting more and more time into these athletes who are tasting the elimination flag at the other end. Across the black carpet, once again, through transition, down near the yachts in the harbour here in Burgu. It's just a procession for him.
It really is. The data says he's not a great bike rider. You're holding off probably one of the best bike riders in the field in our green jersey, and
who has two other people
to work with, and you're gapping him. So, as I said, sometimes data does lie, because I think Vincent Lewis, besides being remarkably talented at all 3 disciplines of triathlon, is probably the smartest tactical racer in the field, and it's why you see the success. And he just does work when he needs to do work. So recording the fastest times is irrelevant to him. The most important thing to him is wearing that pink jersey and winning these races, and he does that better than anybody.
Well, he doesn't look like he's putting the cue in the rack either. He doesn't look like he's just coasting to the end. He's looking like he's putting as much time as possible into this field. So that, because if you remember back to Jersey, he did this. He was in semi-final A.
Yep.
He sat up a little bit, perhaps.
He was joined.
He still got the short shoot.
He was joined by Martin Van Riel. He did the majority of the work. Van Riel, considered one of the best bike riders, if you remember, in Jersey, and then just shut it down. Did what he needed to do to get in. Then we told him.
But then, semi-final B, Hayden Wild came out and won that by 20 seconds and dragged people with him, so that just like what happened with Cassandra Beaugrand, she's now actually the 5th fastest for the day.
Yes.
So the second semi-final comes out and puts the hammer on.
I think you're probably right. That's probably the statement. I'm sitting there thinking, why is he attacking it like this?
He wants to be the fastest.
He needs to be the fastest for the day. He wants to pick that position on where he's going to start. He'll be interested to know where everyone else is around him. That time trial tomorrow is is the course, or this bike course that you're seeing right now. They have to do it individually, which is exactly what he's doing right now, without any people in front of him. That sets up for the pursuit. But the advantage of being the fastest time means you get to select where you get to start your time trial, in the sense that what riders are in front of you or behind you.
And how much rest you're going to have, because we go straight into a sprint enduro after that with a pursuit start based on times from the time trial. So maybe you just get a little bit more time to recover, and maybe that's what makes it count at the back end of this one. And Vincent Lewis, he just does not like not being at the top of the timesheets. And that's what happened after semi-final A 3 weeks ago, and this time he's going to put a marker down and make the rest of the field in semi-final B chase that. There's our second group of 3 led by Gustav Eden, with Aaron Royal and Leo Bergier in it, and there is Hayden Wild leading Vasco Velasa and Tyler Mislachuk up the hill. They need to work together to stay away from that second group of 3 if they want to make sure they take automatic qualifying spots. And that second group of 3 know that only one of them will qualify automatically if they can't catch that group. As down the hill comes Vincent Lewis, the sun now shining again here in Malta. And it just looks like he's closed the roads for his own ride.
He just never looks under pressure. I've often spoke to him after races, was that tough? He's like, oh, that was really hard. I'm like, you never show it. It just looks so easy. Whether that's the poker face he plays to put his competitors off, but he just does everything so comfortably and so in control. It's poetry to watch.
Certainly is. As they head down the bottom of the course, and he's only just made that. We'll have to wait and see.
Close.
But that dismount line comes up on you really, really quick. So he'll know he may have made an error there, Vincent Lewis, and he's going to need to run this one out. We'll get confirmation as soon as possible from our race director. There he is.
Hayden Wild next in, always quick in transition. Hayden and Velasa needs a big transition here. I think Tyler Mislichok, of these 4 that have gone, was the softest in the first run, whether that was a tactical thing.
No, he's lost them. He's lost them. He's gone. He's too slow there. He didn't get his bike in right.
Gustav Eden, I'd hate him to be chasing me down. Leo Bergier, a big runner, and Aaron Royal in our red jersey. Technically our fastest runner from Jersey.
He just didn't quite get the bike in properly and then had a little bit of trouble. And Gustav Eden, there's people walking onto the course there. Unfortunate. But when you need to deliver a pizza, you need to deliver it. He's not getting any warmer.
Michael Dills is probably hungry.
He's the boss. If he wants a pizza, he gets it. And speaking of the boss, Vincent Lewis goes up the hill for the second last time. Keep an eye on that clock. We'll see if anyone in semi-final B can best it. Wild has a look up the hill.
Velasa will chase
sticking.
Wild. He'll stick with Wild. He knows that Wild will be his ticket to stay in that top 5. Just let him pace. They're only going to get up this hill once. The other hill to finish it. It was it looked like there was 5 there, so I'm keen to see if that was someone
Eden is pressing up on Mislichok. Yep, no doubt. Hauser. It's a matter of time for Matt Hauser. Needs to post a good one and hope that semi-final B is slower, but we've never had a semi-final B that's slower than semi-final A. B is always faster, men and women. So Hauser will be hoping that he can scrape into the final.
He's looking tired, Matt.
Yeah.
He looks not as comfortable as we've seen him look in the past. He never looks tired, this gentleman on screen. He's in control now. He knows the short shoot's his. I think he's quite aware and happy with the pace he set. Hayden Wild still in pursuit though. Gustav Eden up onto Tyler Mislichok, but there's your 5.
Well, Hayden Wild, he might have seen Vincent Lewis disappear in the distance, but he got caught in that accident, and not enough can be said about the effort he's had to make to get back to second position. He will be a threat tomorrow. Do not count out Vasco Velasa either for a podium position, if not better.
Leo Bergier has to keep his tempo going because he's in 6th position. Times are going to matter unless he can close in on Eden and Mislichok, who may struggle on this downhill or the next uphill to the finish. He's got to wait around until semi-final B is finished to see his future in Malta, in the Malta round.
So Wild's just put a little bit on Vasco Velasa, who's digging deep to hold off Mislichok and Eden. So Eden has progressed into our top 5.
What a big range, eh? The Ironman 70.3 world champion. A race that goes just under 4 hours in distance, now a race that's going to be 30 minutes and just over 30 minutes in distance. A completely different energy system required to be successful at that, and to be right at the pointy end with the world's best is testament to Gustav Eden's talent.
So last time up the hill for Vincent Lewis, Wild ahead of Velasa, Mislichok and Eden. They are your 5, and they're all within 20 seconds of our leader. World champions, World Cup winners, test event winners, a junior European champion, and the Maltese Falcon, and they're all chasing Vincent Lewis, who will come up in you'd think about a 32. He looks back and he sees plenty of space, so he won't need to employ that famous last couple of 100 metres kick this time around.
He'll be able to relax this uphill, which is probably very, very smart, because it's the uphill that's going to pinch the legs for tomorrow. He can take it as easy, shut it down. They're in. Velasa, fantastic race.
Really, really good race.
A big step up from being eliminated in Jersey in the semi-final to saying he's a lot better than what he is, to coming out and proving it. Big race.
Race 1.
They've never been able to catch him, and this will just be another day that they fail to do so. A little bit of a victory lap at the end there for Vincent Lewis. High fives all the way up the hill. The crowd really turning out here on semi-final day, and they're doing it to watch Vincent Lewis continue on his winning ways here in Malta. Takes the short shoot and the tape in semi-final A. Hayden Wild recovers from getting caught in the accident and getting 7 stitches to the face to finish ahead of Mislachuk. Velasa, who's given everything.
Bergier needs to
Gustav
push.
Eden. Leo Bergier will come across the line in what looks like a 32-33. For 6th position, Royal will finish 7 seconds back in the 32.40. They are unconfirmed times as I just read them off the screen. We'll get them confirmed as we go along. But Velasa, as you said, you saw him. He said he was better than what he'd shown, and he's certainly shown that his best is enough to match it.
Verbatim what he said to me. He apologised and said, I'm sorry, I'm a lot better than that. And he has just shown that. He was not only just hanging in there qualifying, he was dictating terms, which was impressive for a 20-year-old
Looks like
kid.
Mislachuk's sick there. He's either sick or he's lost his contact lenses, and he looks like he's being quite ill. So he's being attended to by Vincent Lewis and Vasco Velasa. And Matt Hauser, you heard it from the MC on course, he has had a solo day. He comes across in a 33.28. So that's 48 seconds back on Royal. So it's good to see Mislachuk is back on his feet.
Keeping his eye on the clock. He's
Make sure the French flag is flying for Vince Lewis.
In just over 25 minutes time.
And everyone else looks buckled, and Vince looks like he does at the start of the race. So he started on the far side there in the pink, swam across the front of the field as he likes to do, and he went with Nicolo Strada, the Italian junior who already raced this morning, earned his way into the semi-final field, and had a very big first 300 metres and first lap on the bike. He'd fade eventually, but he was right there at the beginning and he enjoyed it as well. He came first out of transition. There he was having fun with it and had a great opening bike. But eventually he was caught by the pack, and the pack was led from go to woe by Vincent Lewis, Mislachuk, and there's the crash from Henselet, who was caught up, ran into the back of Ollie Turner. Hayden Wild caught up in the mess as well. He'd come back to finish second, but at the front, Mislachuk was shadowing Vincent Lewis. They came out onto the opening run. There were some really quick transitions, and Velasa and Mislachuk were right there. Velasa took his turn behind Lewis, and then Hayden Wild did as well. And as they came back into the water for the second time, that's when the world champ really put his stamp on this one and broke away from Wild.
Yeah, Hayden Wild was always going to struggle with Vincent Lewis pushing that second swim. Vincent knew that, probably wanted to get the gap to shut Hayden out in the pursuit of that short shoot. Opened up in that swim, was never challenged on the bike. Was able to run his lines very, very comfortably through the bike course. That group of 3 formed behind with Hayden Wild leading it, and then the group of 3 behind that with Gustav Eden. That was the race we're looking at to secure that top 5. Eden's group needed to close, they weren't able to.
Really good to see Gustav Eden with a good showing and to make it into the top 5. But at the front, it was Vince Lewis's day. It's almost always Vince Lewis's day. When he is racing in the pink jersey, he just keeps finding a way to see off the competition. And Wild, Mislachuk and Velasa, followed by Eden with your top 5. Eden with a very good run there to cover the gap at the end. He was too quick for Leo Bergier. The second Frenchman who'll face a nervous wait, posted a 32.33. Right now we'll head down to Jo Ankia. She has found our winner, Vincent Lewis.
I have indeed. Vince, you looked so relaxed, in control out there. Were you trying to make a statement ahead of Group 2?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult race on Saturday. You have to score some points, like mentally, against the other racers, and you also have to manage yourself for the Sunday. And I just want to make everyone work today, so I wanted Hayden to work a bit to get the short shoot, and luckily I was a bit stronger today. He had a bad crash yesterday, so I feel a bit guilty. I mean, beside him, racing him like this and trying to make him suffer a bit more, but that's the game, and I hope he will be 100% for tomorrow and we'll have a good race. We're just waiting for the second hit now, and I hope that will be a fast race too. I tried to make mine fastest for the guys behind. I got my buddy Aaron Roy racing in our hit, and I hope he will be with me tomorrow for the final.
Now tomorrow, the format, it's a bike time trial and then a pursuit. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel great actually. I feel good in the bike here in this race. It's a bit technical. I mean, we saw some crashes today, and the main goal tomorrow morning for the time trial will be to stay on the bike and to stay in control and be able to put like a good swim bike run 10 minutes after, and that's what will count. I mean, we'll see who crossed the line first, and that's only what matters. We don't really care about the time trial, that's just an appetizer.
And of course it could put you racing out in front on your own. How tough is it out there on those hills alone?
Yeah, I kind of like it. You set your own pace. You know, I'm a big guy. I'm like 10 or 15 kilograms more than some guys in the field, so I have to pace myself on the hill, but luckily there is a no need after, and that's more my advantage.
Well, you look like you're in the form of your life. We are all looking forward to seeing you race tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
We will see him tomorrow, and we'll likely see him right towards the pointy end. He said he wanted to lay down a marker to the rest of the field mentally, and a 32.12 will do that. Hayden Wild, 8 seconds back, another couple of seconds to Mislachuk, and then to Velasa. Gustav Eden rounded it out with Berger, Royal, and then Hauser, the ones who are going to be having a nervous wait for the next hour or so. We'll head back down to Joe right now, and Hayden Wild's just had his stitches cleaned in his face. We thought he would let him do that first, and now he's with Joe.
Well, Hayden, it's been a bit of a bumpy week for you. First of all, the race crash. What happened? That looks so frustrating for you.
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating. I was happy with the swim. I was in the group, and the legs felt real good coming into it. And unfortunately, the young German lad that got qualification to Germany came down, and there was a crash of 3. Luckily, I didn't come down, but I had to unclip out of my bike and go over his bike, and it was a bit of a disaster. So I had to go as hard as I could for one lap and put myself a little bit into the red zone, and I was a little uncomfortable on the run, but I still had good legs. So when I got on to Vincent, I just kind of relaxed and just stayed there, and from there, when I dived in, I was like, I'll just try and stay with him, but then I was like, oh, there's really no point. So I just started to go, I just kind of went into cruise mode and waited for the boys behind me, or else I would have been in no man's land anyway. And then, we worked together quite well on the bike, and I knew we were quite safe. So, yeah, for me, I just wanted to survive today and get through tomorrow, and look after all the injuries and get ready for Sunday.
Survival seems to be the word of the week for you. I know you had another crash this week, and of course ended up in these stitches. How are they? Did they sting? How's the body?
No, the most painful thing was my arm, actually my forearm, not my shoulder or anything. It's quite uncomfortable, but I didn't feel my stitches or anything, so we were happy with that. And I had a real good start actually, so I was really happy with that. Didn't get my face hit on the start, so it's equalizer tomorrow, so I know the swim will be spread out a little bit, and that means I know my face will be safe. So I'm ready for tomorrow.
And to come through these kind of accidents and still race the way you did, it was so impressive. That must give you confidence for tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, I know when people go down, they lose a lot of confidence on the bike, but I just had to tell myself mentally, you're a good cyclist, don't worry about it. And I was just hitting those corners as hard as I normally would, and around the 4th lap I felt more comfortable as where I was, and I think I'm happy and ready for tomorrow.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
Well, Hayden Wild, he just keeps on taking the hits and keeps on coming back. There are the other 3 of your qualifiers, and there's plenty of quality amongst them, Macca.
Without question, world champions, the Tokyo Test event winners, favourites for the games. The takeaway for me with Hayden Wild is just his confidence as an athlete now. He's really come of age in the Super League racing, and he really feels he's a player. I think last year he was ecstatic to be taking out scalps. Now I think the difference is this year he thinks he can win this series, and he talks that way. He's tactical. Him and Vincent Lewis seem to be the only athletes that I hear when you hear them speak or you talk to them in the days before that are tactically thinking about how they can win this race. A lot of other people are keying off how those 2 athletes will race the race.
All right, we'll see them both tomorrow. He did the Falcon Arms across the line, didn't quite have the same jubilation as he did in the semi-final last time around. Now, Hayden and amongst a whole bunch of other athletes have been here for the week. They've certainly enjoyed the whole thing, and they're enjoying this one as well. The pink jersey and the green jersey both cop bait into the final. Vasco Velasa does as well, does as Tyler Mislachuk and Gustav Eden. So congratulations to all of them. He'll go off and get patched up. As I said, though, they've all been here for a little while during the week, and we like to give back here at Super League Triathlon and make sure that the athletes enjoy their time, and they also get to meet and greet as many people as they possibly can. And that includes making visits to schools, which is a highlight of a lot of their weeks, and they certainly enjoyed that a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, we're visiting a local primary school. You can see the kids are running around. There's so much energy here. The kids have just a ton of it to burn off, and we try and feed off of that.
It's something marvelous when you see the kids loving this activity, you know, the kids who make questions, direct questions to the athletes and ask them about their professional life, what got them into sports.
So I did my first kids triathlon when I was right about 8 years old, and I got into the sport because my dad was doing them. And since then, I've been doing them every single year and more each and every year.
When one reads about great athletes, it's one thing. When one meets them, it's totally another different thing, you know. The fact that you are not just seeing or reading a paper, but the fact that you are talking directly to the athlete who has experience, who has found difficulties in life.
Important to start them young, get them active, and really just encourage that and make a connection with the community that we're racing in and show them that it's fun to be active and, you know, it's fun to do a sport like triathlon. I remember I have fond memories of growing up as a kid, just being active, racing triathlons, doing other sports, so to try and pass that on to someone else is a big goal and always good to see. My message to these kids would be to just have fun in whatever activity you're doing, racing, anything like that. That's a major key to success.